So what we're looking at here is a model that I built of the house, 1/4 inch to a foot scale, and placed it upon a platform, which is exactly the same size as the lot that our house is on. I have it oriented here. I'm going to turn the camera very quickly. You can see the street in front of the house. And so I have the model oriented exactly so that the front of it lines up with the street, so it's parallel. And that way you can see what I did this for, which is primarily to study how the shadows fall across the lot. This was in advance of figuring out just how much sunlight the roof of our house gets so that we could have solar panels installed. I'm going to try to back up here a little bit so that I don't get my shadow into the frame here, although I probably will at some point. But you can see how the back of the house is framed in sunlight almost all of the time, and quite a lot during all months of the year. What's missing from the model is our back deck where the swimming pool is, and of course the back of the garage where the greenhouse is located. But the solar panels themselves are going to go on most of the roof structure, and I'll document that later when they actually install them later this fall. Anyway, that was the reason why I built the model. And what you can see here, and I'll get right back around in front here, what we're going to be talking about in our particular example is the front of the garage, which is right there. We're going to be talking about those garage doors here shortly. Okay?
This is the second to the last assignment for the semester. It's a large-scale graphic on your garage door. Again, for this project, you're going to need your tape measure, architect scale, and a piece of paper. As I showed you when doing the house plans for my house, that the second floor above my garage is smaller than the garage itself. Zooming in here, again, this is the bedroom studio layout. And here is the garage project room. So, why is the garage wider than the studio space? If you look at the front of the garage, it looks like this. But there is, of course, structure involved in holding up the second floor, and the result is some dead air space on either side of the studio on the second level, which, if you cut away the front wall of the garage, it might look like this. Notice how the walls inside the studio can't be any wider than they are, whereas the garage can come out all the way to both the north and the south walls. This is important because it explains why the garage doors can be the width and the height that they are. So moving in closer, the first two important tasks will be, and this is the same kind of thing that I'm going to be wanting you guys to do, is what is the width of your door or doors? What is the height of them? To do this, you're going to need to use some paper and your architect scale and create an elevation drawing. Maybe not as elaborate as this, but something that will at least show you how big the doors actually are. This one is drawn to 1/4 inch equals a foot, just like the floor plan that I had you do. And it is an elevation, like the demo showed, for doing large-scale graphics on big surfaces like the Myers store. So this drawing explains that the doors on the front of my garage are 7 feet tall and 9 feet wide, and are pretty much centered in the front of my garage that is 25 feet wide. You'll need to know this because it's important for figuring out things like how big of a stencil you might need if you're going to be doing something like that, or how much photo paper you might need to use to create large graphic images on the front of your doors. Now, there are also some other considerations that you need to take into account as well. Garage doors are very different. Some of them are solid and move up and down as one big unit. They swing out and then angle up and overhead and into the garage. Others articulate, that is, they move up and down on tracks and have seams. These are all things that you'll need to take into account when creating the graphics for them. You cannot make the images in solid sheets, as they would tear when the doors try to open. In my case, the door is in 4 sections, each one a little over 9 feet wide by 22 inches high. The exception being the top panel, which is only 18 inches high, the one containing the windows. That means that altogether they measure 84 inches, or as we know, 7 feet. When the door opens on its track, it exposes these seams in the door, both inside and out. There is weather stripping in these seams that closes tight when the door is closed, but whatever graphics that get applied to the front of the door needs to take these dimensions into account so that when the doors come closed, they will display one unified graphic like this. The exception here might be that the top panel, which contains the windows, might have to be made with a graphic that appears solid when viewed from the outside, but is actually translucent, allowing for light and sight to pass through at the top. Imagine, then, all the possibilities that you can put on a large surface like this. It might render the door as nothing more than a frame for a kind of a picture spread across the 2 openings like a diptych. You might think of how you could have the panels change out with the season. Here's a suggestion for autumn. Your favorite vacation spot. This is from some old images that I had of pictured rocks in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Or some obscure image like the inside of a cave. And of course, there is the annual Halloween graphic. Or I might simply harken back to what I was doing with the fence and apply some large stencils to the front of the doors like this in some accent color that goes with the overall colors of the house. In this case, I would then know from my elevations just how big to make those stencils in order to achieve this look. So then, this is what I want you to do for this assignment. Measure out your garage doors or some large surface on your house. Produce an elevation drawing of it, 1/4 inch equals a foot, and then make some copies of that. Sketch out at least 3 ideas on those copies of what you think you want to do for the final, and submit those as the first part of this assignment, or 7.2. Then, once you've determined which one you like best, do a final digital version using the actual photograph of the front of your house, like the ones that I've been showing you here, and then submit that as assignment 7.3 final. Good luck, and I will see you guys in the next video.